I just about scraped it and got a 2-2. I don't even think I've said that to anyone before. I didn't have a proper job for 6 years. On the outside, it all looks glam. But those 6 years for me was depression, therapy, breaking things in my room. I wanted to give up. There were times where I didn't like it. There were times where I wanted to walk away and go, right, I can't. I've waited so long for something to happen. And that call just changed everything. Okay, so would you like to be the Sunday morning breakfast presenter? Anything, and I promise you, anything is possible. Sunday morning breakfast to weekend breakfast to weekday breakfast, and to have an amazing career in working out now is just, to me, it sometimes feels like it wasn't real. It didn't happen, but it did.
Welcome to the Bay HQ, where we inspire, connect and guide the next generation of British Asians. Smash that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, and leave us a 5-star review if you're watching on Apple or Spotify. Today we have with us Harpz Kaur, who's a TV and radio presenter and also a DJ. How are you doing today?
I am very well, thank you. And can I just say, I really like this setup.
Thank you. Don't steal it, please.
No, well, I was thinking about it, but I won't, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's nice, it's cozy in here.
Yeah. So we're just laughing at the bit, because obviously when I do the introduction, you're used to that as well.
Yep.
And it's always a funny bit at the beginning, and now we could be more relaxed and
Yeah.
natural. So you obviously grew up north, and you've been on the BBC, you've done all this different stuff. But when you're growing up, did you ever think, like, one day that's what I'm going to do?
You know, it's really weird when people ask me this question, because I feel like my friends can probably vouch for this, and even some family members. When I was younger, and I'm talking really young, like maybe about 12, 13, 14, around that age, I used to run around saying silly things like, oh, one day I want to be on the TV. One day I want to be, I want my name to be in lights. I'd talk like that. Never took it seriously though. Then I got to high school. Believe it or not, I was quite shy in high school. I don't really think my personality came out of my shell around that time for many reasons. Got to college, and I feel like I started to kind of realize who I was and what I was about. So then my chats would change a little bit with my friends. Oh, you know what? One day I want to be on TV, man. Like, this is what I want to do. And I'd just talk about it, but I never did anything about it, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So did I know I was going to go into this? Not 100%. It was a dream. But I think only when I got to uni is when I realized, actually, you were born to do this, Harpz. And
what was it about TV? Like, if you had never done anything about it, why did you think you were going to enjoy it? Or what was it that attracted you to it?
I realized very quickly throughout my education, even though education is very important, guys. So I'm not saying, don't concentrate in school because you really need to. But I wasn't the brightest in school. I unfortunately wasn't the person who would get the highest grades. I never came first. I never came top of the class. I really used to struggle to concentrate a lot. My mind would get distracted very easily. Exams and coursework was just like absolute hell for me. And certain things never made sense. I resat my maths 3 times for GCSE. So I was that student. And I remember it being really tough, like, because all my friends around me would be doing so well and would talk about our grades, and you'd go home and your parents would be so happy. And I'm just there like, yeah, well, I didn't do that great. It was difficult growing up, because that made me feel I didn't know where I was going to end up in life. I didn't know where I was going to go. What am I going to do? What kind of things am I good at? So I think education taught me a lot, actually. It taught me the opposite. What I realized as I got on, like, from school to high school to college to uni, I realized not everyone shines in the same way. We all do have that shining moment. You've just got to find it. And I felt like I realized very quickly that anything that was practical, anything that had any sort of involvement with talking or being on the stage or being in front of a camera, presentations. Funnily enough, I was top. So I'd be first at those kind of things. And everyone would be shocked, like, she fails everything else, but when she's doing this, how the hell does she manage to do it? So what I mean by that is, you don't understand that straight away. You don't realize why that's happening straight away. But I think in hindsight, with a lot of things make sense after a while. And it did for me after a bit. I realized it's all right not to be an A-star student. It's all right, not to be with my friends being the one that can boast about my grades. But actually, I shine somewhere else where maybe they can't. So it's not a competition. It's just you might be brighter in a corner, whereas I might be brighter in this corner over here. And everybody has that shining moment. And I strongly believe that now, because I'm the perfect example of someone who's got C's, D's, E's. I even got a U in something. I can't remember what it was. Awful. But
might be why.
Yeah, it might be why. But my point, that's a good point. But my point is, that didn't matter, because there might have been people in my life that made me feel sometimes you're not going to become something, or you're not going to achieve what you want to do because school and grades weren't great, but actually I feel like I've done the opposite now and proven to people that it doesn't matter if you're not top of the class, you can still be someone. And I've done that and I'm proud of it.
Like, you still went to uni anyway, right?
Yeah.
Despite not being academic and not really wanting to do that.
Yeah.
What made you go to uni anyway?
So college, when you're about to finish and when you have to look up at those that list of subjects that happen at uni and what you want to do. I remember looking at it again and again and again thinking, where do I fit? Like, what would I do? I'm not going to do anything in accounting. I can't do maths. I don't want to do anything in science because I just can't concentrate. And you probably wouldn't want to come to me for any sort of medicine. So like, where would I fit? So I'm looking down this list and I came across media studies. And obviously underneath it said radio, TV, and, broadcast journalism. And I thought, that is the only thing that's really gripped me. Like I'd look at it and go, yeah, like that was my reaction. But I knew nothing about it. I hadn't studied anything previous before that. So I went with it. And I remember even family at the time going, are you sure? Like, what's your job going to be? And I didn't know what my job was going to be. And I said that. I was like, I don't know. I won't know until I just give it a go, but I want to try. So I did it. I absolutely fell in love with it. Yes, the theory side of stuff I did struggle with a little bit, but it was still something that my mind, body, and focus still wanted to do, which was the difference. And I felt very different studying media than I did anything else throughout my education. So when I got to uni, I got the hands-on experience. I really studied my craft. I know the ins and outs of broadcasting, and it was a really good feeling, man. And I went on to do my broadcast journalism postgrad as well. So I did a master's. And even that, when I think back to it now, like how on earth did I do a postgrad when I'm the person telling everyone I was failing at most things? I do think whatever kind of energy, universe, or God is up there, something really was looking out for me along the way. Something, I do believe that, because I don't know how I got from college to uni and, even getting into the uni, for starters, and then getting onto a course I wanted to do, almost scraping every single exam. And even my degree, like I just about scraped it and got a 2-2. I don't even think I've said that to anyone before. This is probably the first place I've said it. I've scraped it to graduate, and I never forget that feeling sitting in my, my mentor's office. I used to sit outside and go, I want to quit. I can't do it. It's too much. And he just looked at me and went, you need to remember where you are shining. He was like, you need to remember where you are getting the highest points. And that's when you're doing the practical stuff. You are in front of everybody else when I've told you to get on the stage or when I've told you to talk and, produce something. So why are you not focusing on that? You just keep focusing on the exams. And I'm like, yeah, but if I'm failing at the exams and I'm doing this, does it really make sense? And he was like, but it does make sense because you know it all up here. You just struggle to put it down on paper, I guess. And with a lot of pushing, I stuck to it. Because if I'm honest, I probably was very close 5-6 times to just drop out. And I didn't. I held on and somehow graduated, somehow got that degree picture on the fireplace at home, somehow managed to make my parents proud, and somehow managed to do a postgrad, and somehow backed a job and a career. So it can happen.
I think it's one of those things as well. Like people think they might think they're stupid or they're dumb, but it's just if you work on something you're really interested in. And you see it with anything, right? Like if you're really interested in something, you put the work in and it makes a huge difference, right? Because it's like sometimes people they're criticizing themselves for something they're just not interested in. Mm-hmm. And obviously at school you have to do that because it's the system, whatever like that. But when you're an adult, that's the great thing is you get the choice.
Yeah.
Like now, for example, nobody taught me how to podcast, right? I just did loads of stuff, looked up online, writing, all those kind of skills. Then now you have the power to just learn whatever you're interested in. Mm-hmm. And once you left university, then obviously you started as a radio host and things like that. How was that transition? Because again, you didn't know what you wanted to do after university. And then was it this is the right place? Was it what am I doing? How confident were you?
Yeah, it was really hard because I just remember getting all this work experience throughout uni. That's what really changed it for me though. When they said, look, you need to go out now and grab any sort of work experience you can do, whether that's radio, TV, whatever you want to do. And I remember looking up radio stations in Leeds. That's where I studied. And I came across a station called Fever, which I really want to big up heavily, by the way, because it's where I started, where I began. And without them, I wouldn't be here. I found Fever. Didn't at the time really listen to them much, if I'm honest. I wasn't really aware of them because they were just a community station. And I'm obviously from Huddersfield, so the reach wasn't really oh yeah, I know about it. So I thought, oh, well, this sounds interesting. Let's just give it a go. I went there. They gave me 6 weeks experience, I think, if I can remember. And, as every other person, I'm sure, starts in work experience, you're the coffee girl, you're the tea girl, you're just watching from afar, you're shadowing. But even if I was doing that, my eyes were still on the studio. My ears were still listening to any sort of output that was going out. My drive was just, that excites me. So even if I wasn't so active in being on the desk or learning the desk, I was just watching and learning. Believe it or not, I feel like I learned a lot just by stood there watching what people are doing and how they're doing that. And Then I got the chance to go on air, and I remember being the most excited person on the planet, going, oh my God, like I'm talking on the radio. And then towards the end, they offered me a slot. Still at uni, this was just off the back of the work experience. And they were like, look, would you want your own show? And I went, what? Like, it was like the biggest thing for me at the time. Yeah, I want my own show. This would be amazing. And obviously it's voluntary, it's not paid work or anything. But the fact that it excited me so much and going, yeah, I want my own show. I took it. I got a Saturday night slot, which turned into a very big Bhangra show at the time on that station. And I realised very quickly then that I know I'm good at this. And I'm going to start giving myself credit for knowing what I'm good at. But I didn't know where it would progress to beyond those doors. So even though I was there for 6 years at Fever, I loved every single minute of it and, progressed so much, learnt my craft, properly learnt my craft so much. I kind of loved the fact that I used it as a playground. That's how you learn. But I remember being scared as well, knowing I love this so much, but where am I going to go with it? How do I get there? How do I get there? And my story of how I got there is actually quite strange. And I know a lot of people probably think I applied for things. I've never applied for a job at BBC in my life, just so you know, ever. It didn't even cross my mind at the time because I felt I was too much of a small fish in a big pond. So why would I apply at the BBC? So I never even applied for jobs like that. I actually got headhunted, and I feel timing is key, and everything for me happened at the right time.
So those years where you were at Fever, if it was a voluntary show, how are you making ends meet? Was there any stress about that? Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something else? How do I?
I graduated 2011, still at Fever. And I think I'd done about 3 years at Fever at that point. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do a postgrad. The only reason I did a postgrad is because everyone told me it's a guaranteed job at the end of it. So I thought, oh, great. I really don't want to study for another year, but if it's definite job at the end, I'll do it. I did it. I didn't have a proper job for 6 years after that. 6 whole years. And that is a very long time for someone to come out of uni and spend so many years, banging your head against the wall, especially people like me who was trying to get somewhere and learn something and then go, I didn't get anything at the end of that. So what did I do it for? The frustration killed me. And I remember, applying for broadcast jobs. So, in news reporting, especially because my degree's in broadcast journalism as well. So obviously news was just naturally first, but it wasn't natural to me. I mean, could anybody imagine me telling you the news now? Absolutely not. It's funny, right? So even then I was like, I can't do this. I don't enjoy it. It's actually quite depressing. It's very intense doing news, and I rate anyone that works in that field. I've got amazing friends that do it, and I don't know how you do it. But at the time I was trying to apply up and down across the country, trying to get some freelancing shifts as a news reporter, which I did for a lot of radio stations at Capital, at Metro, at TFM. I've been up and down everywhere, but it wasn't making me happy. It wasn't exciting me. I was doing it because I needed to make money. I was doing it because I needed to put something on my CV. I was doing it so I could learn more stuff, visit new places, and obviously, gain the experience. But the back of my head, it was always, I can't believe I've studied so hard, done what I've done, and I'm just sat here now, knocking on people's doors. So those news shifts would come in. But obviously, if you're a freelancer, that's not sometimes the best way, because you could get a shift next week, but then your next one might not come for 6 months. Is that really a good way of making income? Probably not, and I wasn't earning anything at Fever, but I didn't want to let go of it. And I remember people sometimes saying, look, why don't you just leave it now? You've done it now. You're not making anything. Go get a proper job. And I'm like, I can still do a job as well as this, though. And that's what no one could understand about me. Why is she just not leaving that place? And I was like, but I enjoy it. It was only 2-hour slot that let me be me.
Yeah.
And I really got to, understand what I want to do, how I want to be. So I couldn't let go of it. But those 6 years went by in a horrible, horrible way. And this is something I'm open to talk about now. And I do a lot because I think it's important for people to understand your journey fully. Because on the outside, it all looks glam. But those 6 years for me was depression, therapy, breaking things in my room, giving up on life, not wanting to wake up the next day because every email said no, or, the doors were closing. And I felt like a waste of space. I felt like I should have listened to my dad, who was constantly saying, it's hard for Asian females in media. You might not have a guaranteed job. So maybe you should have gone down the business route like I told you to. You should just come back into the family business. And I'm like, that's one thing I just didn't want to do it. It didn't excite me. So those questions would be in my head all the time. Should I have listened? Should I have done what dad said? Should I have, why did I do this? So you doubt yourself so much. That confidence completely goes out the window. I had zero self-esteem and no confidence in anything. I actually felt like I've just wasted my entire life. I've wasted so much time. I don't know what happens from here. So it wasn't nice. It was a horrible way of trying to figure out things. But I've now realized, again, like I said, you realize things later. That had to happen to me. Now I know how important it was that happened to me, because one, I was definitely not strong enough for this industry. And I've realized that now, because what I have gone through and what my amazing career, touch wood, has been like for the past few years, it's not cut out for everyone. And I've been in it and come out the other end now as well to talk about all sorts of things. But that's why I'm saying now, looking back at it, I was definitely not strong enough to deal with half the stuff you have to deal with in this industry. I don't think my mindset would have been in the right place. I think I would have broken down very quickly in this game if I got it at that age. Maybe I was too young, to step through those kind of doors. So even though I was questioning it so much at 22, 23, 24, why am I not getting anywhere? Actually, it was meant to happen for me at 26. And for a lot of people, that's very late in life. Like, you're making money now? Should have been making money ages ago. But I now appreciate what that feels like to have zero in your bank balance and literally go from there to then getting an incredible career from the age of 26 and working goddamn hard at it to earn money that you couldn't probably never have dreamt of at that time.
Yeah.
So what I mean is, things can change for you, but things happen at the right time as well. And now I know that timing is key. And I just had to go through a rough patch before I hit the cruel world.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to put it. It's amazing, but it's cool.
Yeah. It's interesting, like you said, because I think sometimes people do feel like things have got to happen now.
Yeah.
And if you give yourself a bit of time and space and realize, okay, I'm working towards something. And what I say to a lot of people as well is think about the skills you're learning as well.
Absolutely.
Because you're building up this skill set, and that skill set makes you more valuable in the future.
Yeah.
Even if it's not right now. And like some of the stuff I do is like, I do stuff for free now, right? Like, for example, this is all like not for profit. I'm not making any money off this. But these skills that I'm learning,
pay off.
It will pay off someday. I don't know how it's going to pay off.
And
but
you might not
I'm
know
enjoying
that now.
it. Like, it's always different things that are involved, right?
Yeah.
And I guess what I was going to say as well is, for people listening right now who maybe in that position you were like when you're in your like early 20s and do feel like they're giving up and they're just not sure what to do with themselves, what kind of coping mechanisms do you use, or what advice you could give them? Because it's one thing about not giving up, but it's also like, how do you keep that mindset like so strong? I'm
not going to lie and say that, it's easy and whatever I say, you have to change your mind to it tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. But I will say, you really, really have to ask yourself, is this what I really want? Is this something I really want to do? Does it really excite me? And can I see the future in this? The reason I'm saying those kind of questions are important, because sometimes it is very easy to focus on something, but then you realize it's not for me. And that's fine too, which is not a problem. Everybody goes through things like that. But if you've got the passion and the drive and the dedication and the excitement of that one thing you really want to do, anything, and I promise you, anything is possible. I have just explained how my whole education life was very difficult as a student because I wasn't the brightest, or I wasn't the most intelligent, and I wasn't an A-star student. And then for everybody else around you to make you feel like you're probably not going to get anywhere because school wasn't great, it doesn't mean you're never going to become someone or something. So I think your focus is key. It's number one. Get your focus right. Ask yourself, if this is what you want, then it doesn't matter if it takes a year, it takes 5 years or 6 years. God forbid it doesn't take 6 for you. But even if it does take 6 years for you, it can pay off in ways you can't even imagine. And I always tell this to people, and when I want to talk about my story, because sometimes I can't believe it. I think that's why when I look back at it, I still sometimes have to pinch myself and go, I went through such a horrible time emotionally, mentally, and physically, but I've come out with such an incredible career that I can now tell people about. And I would never have dreamt of that. I would never have dreamt of me getting to the heights of, I've reached, or the achievements that I've managed to get under my belt, or opportunities, should I say, that have come my way. They wouldn't have happened if my focus moved. So my point is, during those 6 years where I was like, no, but I'm still going to try anything I can to do it, whereas everybody else around me was going, I think you should change now. Like, this isn't right. It's probably not going to work. Go somewhere else. The fact that my mind kept going, no, this is what I want to do and I'll do anything I can to get there. That's what got me there. So it's so easy to fall into, you know, that mental trap of going, I feel sad, I feel depressed, you know, everything's over. It's not going to happen for me. I've been there so many times, even in my past 7-year career. Like, I'm not even those 6-year gap I'm talking about. The 7-year amazing career I had, even then I had moments where I wanted to give up. There were times where I didn't like it. There were times where I wanted to walk away and go, right, I can't. Everybody's going to have those moments. But if you've really got your focus on something and that dream is something you really want to become, you want to make reality, only you can make it happen. I promise you, I know people say, you know, you need to reach out for other people and get help. Of course you can get help. No one's going to make that dream happen unless you're not the focal point. You've got to really, really ask yourself if you want it, and I promise you can do it. But please, I know it sounds cliche, don't give up, because if I gave up, let's say after that 6-year point, I finally gave up, would I be sat here right now? Probably not.
One thing I just want to highlight as well, you also mentioned how you got like therapy at the time as well. So if anybody is listening, it does feel like in the depressive state or something like that, like do seek help for the mental side of things.
Yeah.
And one thing I want you to tell us about now on the flip side is when you got that call from BBC, once you got your first show, how did that feel? Because you've talked about the hard times.
Yeah.
Then obviously you did have those massive highs as well. So tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely reach out for therapy, guys, if you do need it. And sometimes it's not a need. I think everybody should have it anyway. It's just good for you. So you don't have anyone else to turn and reach to or talk to. That's probably the best way to deal with it. Just putting that out there. It's important. Look after your mental health first. But that call for me, I don't think I'll ever forget in my life. It's probably one of the biggest turning points for me, in fact. I remember I was in Morocco on a family holiday when I got the call. But before the call, there was a lot that happened before that. So I'm just going to backtrack a little bit to give a bit of context. So I was probably around 24, 25 at this time. And someone reached out to me on Facebook saying, I think you should apply for the Asian Media Awards. And I looked at it going, sorry? Why would I, a random girl from Huddersfield on the local radio station, go for the Asian Media Awards? So I was really confused. And I looked it up and I thought, there is no way I'm going to this. Like, there were huge broadcasters and people there. So I didn't understand why this person said that. So I asked them and I was like, I can't see myself being there. Thank you very much. But like, I'm just a random radio presenter in Leeds. And he was like, no, we've got a new category called Outstanding Young Journalist of the Year Award. And obviously we've seen you're a journalist, you're a qualified journalist. You've done that and you should put your work through. And I was like, yeah, I'll have a think about it. I remember telling my friends, told my other half, like, I got this message and I really don't think I should do it. It sounds a bit weird. And they just pushed me. Like, they were like, you're so stupid for not doing it. Like, how do you know what's going to happen from it? Just do it. Me being me, I didn't do anything about it until the last day. And I remember it was about 9:30 p.m. and the deadline was at midnight. My other half had brought it up again and he was like, have you applied? And I went, nope. And he went, why are you not doing it? There's 3 hours left, just do it. And I was like, yeah, but this is long. And I was in that mind frame going, I just can't be bothered. And like, what's it going to do for me talking negative? And anyway, I ended up applying. Well, not applying. I had to submit like 10 pieces of work that I'd done. Surprisingly got shortlisted. That was exciting. I was like, oh, wow, okay. Like, something's come from it. And it was a really nice email. You're down to the last 4 out of thousands, hundreds or whatever, how many people applied for it. We'd love for you to come to the ceremony. And I was like, oh my God. It was just an exciting thing that happened in my life. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to take my whole family with me. So I took my mom, dad, brother, sister, all 5 of us went. Got there and I was so starstruck. It's unreal. Being in a room filled with people that you've just watched your whole life or listened to your whole life and admired your whole life and just sat on the tables next to you and you're there doesn't make sense, but it did at the same time. And I thought, I don't even care about this award anymore. I was like, I'm just happy to be here. So I didn't win the award, but that night I won everything I could have dreamt of. And that was, I was already kind of in Nihal's mind at the point, who some of you might be familiar with, incredible broadcaster, one of my absolute faves. But he came to know about my work around that time and he came over to my table, grabbed me by the wrist and went, I need to introduce you to someone. So he's taken me across the other side of the room and I remember that feeling. My heart was in my stomach because I had no idea where I'm going, who I'm about to speak to. I've never really been in those places before in spaces. So I'm there now, I'm speaking to this guy and I still don't know who he is. And he's just like, oh, Nihal talks really highly of you, talks about you all the time. And I was like, really? That's really nice. Like, thank you. He was just saying, yeah, that you've started DJing and now, you're doing a lot of radio stuff. It's great. I was like, thanks. Like, yeah, I'm trying. Had a really positive chat, gave me his card and he went, no, I'll be in touch. So I walked off, put it in my bag, and I didn't even look at it at this point. I was just like, oh, okay, that was nice chat. Got in the car, and I remember my dad saying like, oh, you know, so who was it? And I just stopped and went, I don't know. I don't actually know who I spoke to, but I've got his card. So I quickly took the card out, and it said head of programs at BBC Asian Network. And I was like, oh my God. And the only thing that went through my head was, if only I knew, I would have said this, I would have said that, I would have said this, like we all do.
Yeah.
You know, I should have impressed him more. And I didn't. I was just kind of like, yeah, you know, those yes, no, really short answers. And I was really kicking myself. I was like, oh, how did I not know this? So then mixed emotions. I'm annoyed that I didn't say certain stuff, but I'm excited because, wow, that just happened. And then I was like, what happens next? Because he gave me his card. So it was like, you know, when someone kind of, it wasn't selling you a dream, but it's almost like here's a stepping stone to get there. It was that feeling, but it's not promised because I don't know what was going to come from that. Anyway, 6.5 months went by. I hadn't heard from him, and I was screwing. And I went back into that low place, going to my mum and dad. I bet he says this to everyone. Like, I bet he gives his card out to everyone. He's not even like got in touch. Anyway, 6.5 months later, I got an email. Come down for a chat, Harpz. So I was like, okay. So I'm there, went down to London, saw the studios for the first time. And I remember being a kid in a candy shop, like, oh my God, there's so many lights, buttons, faders. Like, it was the most exciting thing for me. My adrenaline was sky high and I wasn't even on air. I was just looking at them. Positive chat, went really well, called me again. And he said, come down, you know, let's do a little demo. Let's just see. So he never really kind of said, we're going to give you something. It was just come down and play around and do this. And so I did that. Fast forward to Morocco now. I'm on a family holiday and I'm just there going, oh, but I still haven't heard from this guy. Like I did this show and what if it's not going to happen? And I remember the feeling of not sadness. It was kind of like someone just teased me and went, this could possibly happen, but it might not. And that might not, you know, when you focus on the might not, it's like, oh, my heart is like shattered into pieces. And I was like, why did you do that? Like, it was that feeling. So I got the call and I saw his name on my phone and I was like, oh no, like this is going to be probably one of the most important calls of my life. It's going to go one way or the other. And I knew that call was going to be the answer. Like, it's going to be a yes or a no. And I remember just going, do I pick it up? Because I didn't even want to pick it up. So I was like, oh, okay. Took it to a corner, just dreading to hear the words. And I was like, please don't like shatter my dreams. So I was like, hello. And it was so quick and like informal. It was like straight to the point. Like, I was there expecting like some build up or something, but it was just, hey, Harpz, you all right? I was like, yeah, I'm just on holiday. Oh, cool. Yeah, you're in Morocco. Nice. Okay, so would you like to be the Sunday morning breakfast presenter? And I just froze. And even now it gets me like, I haven't got any words because that feeling was just, I've waited so long for something to happen. And that call just changed everything. And I remember being silent for quite a while because I didn't even know how to say thank you. It was just, yeah, like I'd love to do that. And that was it. So I think from that point onwards, Sunday morning breakfast to weekend breakfast to weekday breakfast and to having an amazing career and working out now is just, even, you know, to me, it sometimes feels like it wasn't real. It didn't happen. But it did.
So it's amazing to see like how that story came about and obviously all your hard work paying off. But then obviously you were at the BBC for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And that's where most people know you from. You've like household name across like lots of the British Asian community. Then after that, you've now gone your own way and you're doing your own thing. Like, what are you working on at the moment, or what's the dream that you're doing?
Yeah, I think because breakfast was quite tough in terms of 4 a.m. starts every day, I'm exhausted. I've needed the time to recharge and recover as well. I think that's really important. It wasn't so much let's get out of it and get into something straight away. I couldn't do that. My body's just not ready for that. But my focus being keyword, is still there. I still want to do more TV stuff. I still want to do maybe more radio. I'm not sure. Let's see if the right opportunity comes. Maybe I still just want to be at the forefront of what I do best. And if those kind of opportunities come, I'll take them. But right now, I'm an open book, I'd say. So I can't really say I'm gonna go do this and I want to do that. I've kind of let my brain just go, look, we're at an awesome place right now, and I'd like to try new things. So I think right now I'm experimenting. It's kind of nice to try different things now and go, I like this, and maybe not that, and I love this. So I'm just trying to find my next love, I guess. That's the answer. Best answer I can give you.
What's something you're enjoying at the moment? Like, what's some of the stuff you've tried out? Like, oh, this is actually really fun, and maybe.
Yeah. Well, I've gone back into DJ now. I obviously started as a DJ before I was a presenter when I was about 18. So falling back in love with DJing has been incredible. I'm back in the clubs. You know, I'm doing private events and stuff like that. Corporate shows. It's great because my love for music, as most of you will know, will always be there. So anything that's involved with music and sound and dance, and I just want to be there. So yeah, DJing right now is something I'm focused on a lot, mainly because I just want to get out there and enjoy interacting with people again. And dance, everybody knows I'm a bit of a dancer as well. So yeah, I do it more for my mental health side. It's more of an escape for me. It's more of me time, getting back in the gym. I'm doing stuff like that, to be honest. I'm just trying to enjoy my life, giving myself a bit more of a break, taking more holidays, which I never got the time to do when I was so busy. So yeah, those kind of things for now.
So it's great to hear all of that. We've got to go on to quick fire questions now.
Okay.
So first one.
Yeah.
Is who are 3 British Asians that you'd love to shout out that you think people should be paying attention to?
Okay, well, firstly, I would like to shout out a very good friend of mine and someone that's really, really helped me in my career in a different way. And he goes by the name of Prash. He is the founder and the man behind all Desi Beats events across the UK, which are the biggest Desi nights. And the reason I want you to pay attention to him is because I feel not only is he a hardworking person and achieved so much in his own field, but I've learned so much from him as well as a person. And those kind of people you need to keep kind of close. And I feel he's really pushed me and led me into some of the most amazing directions. So not being biased because he's a very close friend, but he's definitely one to watch. So yeah, big up to Prash. This is going to be hard, isn't it? Because everyone's going to be like, why not me? Why not me? I'm also going to go with a very, very dear friend, but someone I rate as a professional. And that is a friend called Govind, who is a dancer. And me being such a dance fanatic, a lot of my dance training comes from him. So a lot of you might not know this, but I train a lot with him to learn new styles and, you know, how to progress. But his work ethic and his energy, I admire. And if you love music and dance, please go follow him on socials and stuff. And you might recognize him from some of my videos, but love that guy. So definitely go watch him. And thirdly, oh God, this is tough. Thirdly, I'm going to big up Anila Dami, because Anila is someone I keep using the word admire, but I really, really do admire that woman. She is a powerful lady in her own right, but she will never allow you to kind of feel that way around her. Now, I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, if someone really has a successful career and they're absolutely like just killing it in their position, she'll never boast about it. She'll never kind of be like, hey, everybody, like, da, da, da. But I want you to do that for her. So even if you don't like this, I'm going to tell people to do that because she deserves it. That girl works so hard at what she does. And I still feel she deserves way more credit than she gets. So Anila, I just love that girl.
It's a great shout. Also like we did there as well, because sometimes the most successful people are also the most humble, and people don't really realize that.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I love to get shouted out, because they're the ones who won't do it themselves, right? Other people promote themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of those people need that promotion.
And they need it. So like, don't hide away from that kind of stuff. These guys are great that I've just mentioned. So please, go check out what they do.
Next one is people are looking for help right now or guidance. What could they reach out to you about?
Definitely the mental health side of things, I think. As most of you might know, I'm a mental health advocate as well. And I'm an ambassador as well for Calm, which is a charity, which is a campaign against living miserably. And I not only have I, gone through my own personal experiences, whether that be work, professionally, personally, in my own private life, but I just feel it's so important for us to talk about it more, to discuss it more, and to really allow us to reach out for those tools that we need rather than shy away from it. Because I think, especially from our culture and our community, we're very wired into thinking, oh, it'll be all right, everybody's stressed, everybody has troubles, we'll get over it. But it's not like that all the time. Sometimes you do need someone to listen. You do want people to hear you, and you do want people, to be that shoulder for you to cry on. So I'm not saying everybody come to me and cry to me. Of course you can if you need to, but I'm saying find those points that are bugging you, write them down. And if you need advice on that, I'm definitely here to help you do that. But obviously anything professionally, I think people want advice on, maybe like a career in radio or TV. I'll try my very best, I guess, to give you as many tips and things as I can. So yeah, I think mental health, I'm here, and advice on anything in the broadcast world, I'll try my very best.
And then on the other side, is you think you need help with right now? Maybe somebody listening could help you with?
That's a very good question. I feel like I need help with a lot of things. You know what? I need help on how to cook. I can't cook. So if anybody out there wants to teach me how to make the basics without burning the kitchen down, please, I'll let you go.
And then it's so great to have you on today. Have
Thank
you got
you.
any final words?
Yeah, my final words would be, if you're ever at a position and you think I'm stuck, or I don't know how to get out of this situation, whatever it may be, whatever that situation is. And I'm only talking from experience. If you feel trapped and you feel like it's time for change, but you're too scared to take it, I'm telling you now, I promise you, that leap of faith that people talk about is so important to take sometimes, because if you don't take it, you will never know. And I've done that many times in my career, in my life, and every single time my intuition and my gut has been right. So please just believe in yourself a little bit more. If those moments come, it's so easy to talk about the good things and stuff, but really I think we should be giving advice and stuff about the bad, not bad things, but things that we struggle with. So when you get to that point, please never feel too scared of going, no, I'll just stay comfortable, because sometimes bigger and better things come outside of your comfort zone. So if you need to take that jump, take it, I promise. You'll remember this. It'll go a long way.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for listening. It means a huge amount to us, and we don't think you realise how important you are, because if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, if you leave us a 5-star review, it makes a world of difference. And if you believe in what we're trying to do here, to inspire, connect and guide the next generation of British Asians, if you do those things, you can help us achieve that mission, and you can help us make a bigger impact. And by doing that, it means we can get bigger guests, we can host more events, we can do more for the community. So you can play a huge part. So thank you so much for supporting us.